Today on SuperSanctuaries here on Pets.tv. We're taking you to an amazing animal rescue where dogs who were once abandoned and abused have found a home for life.
They never have to risk, being abandoned again. That's my promise to them.
Meet the founder of D.E.L.T.A Rescue, who's dedicated his life to the largest facility of its kind devoted to our furry friends. And we'll introduce you to the rescue's on-site vet, Dr. Brown, aka the Pet Vet. Chances are you've seen him here on Pets.tv.
I was wondering if I need to take a pet CPR class in case of emergency.
I would urge you to take that class.
Plus, there are horses here too, some 40 of them. And thanks to the Horse Rescue of America, they've been given a second chance.
They have a life here. You know, they're well cared for. We have the ability to give them a life and not just an existence.
Have you ever seen a house with so many friendly felines? This is their actual home. Thanks to this rescue, over 300 cats have found refuge and a new lease on life.
They're spayed and neutered and they're fed, and you've just taken away two of the biggest reasons why cats fight out in the wild.
That's all right here on SuperSanctuaries, starting right now. They all started out as man's best friend.
Look at man's best friend. Look at this. Look at man's best friend.
But somebody didn't want them. Now they have a second chance at life thanks to D.E.L.T.A Rescue.
Behind me is our 94-acre Super-Sanctuary, because it's sanctuary for 1,500 dogs and cats. And they live their whole life here. They never have to risk, being abandoned again. That's my promise to them.
All of these dogs were abandoned to the wilderness, but at D.E.L.T.A Animal Rescue, they now have a home for life. In this postcard backdrop, 50 miles from Los Angeles, in the high desert region. Here, no dog is euthanized for lack of space, and none will be adopted either.
These animals are here because they were out there in these mountains, or out in the desert, or under fire at a marine base, or out at the ocean, and nobody was there to help them.
Founded by Leo Grillo, D.E.L.T.A Rescue is the largest facility of its kind in the world devoted to animals. After all, D.E.L.T.A Rescue stands for Dedication and Everlasting Love to Animals. Leo rescued his first dog in 1979, then another and another, until it was time to quit his day job as an actor.
My agent called and said, you're missing another interview. What's wrong with you? I said, but I'm out here feeding my dogs. I can't leave them. And she said, choose. Your career or these dogs? I mean, you look at these faces and you go, you know what? It's about them. I have to put myself aside and my goals and my dreams. I have to take care of these dogs. So it's always been about them.
At last, these dogs have a happy and permanent home at D.E.L.T.A with the best care available, since many never fully get over being abandoned or abused.
When you get abandoned in life, and who knows what happened before that, this is what happens. This is what most of these animals are like when you walk in. There's no way these dogs would get a home in a pound because they would be called unadoptable. And really, they wouldn't be here anyway because they'd have died out there.
At D.E.L.T.A, no dog is forgotten and no need is ever ignored.
Now what just happened is while we're shooting, we noticed one of the dogs was limping. So we called it in right away and they just took her back. She's going up to the hospital.
Turns out there was nothing to worry about. But if there was a problem, there's a fully equipped hospital on the premises. D.E.L.T.A's on-site veterinarian is Dr. Gaylord Brown, aka the Pet Vet. Seem familiar? Chances are you've seen his TV show here on Pets.tv.
Hi, Pet Vet. This is Baloo. Should I get him microchipped?
Baloo does need to be microchipped. If you have some unfortunate incident like a fire or an earthquake and Baloo gets out, it's going to be the one sure means of identification. This is indeed that animal's final home, and we're going to treat them just like their home. I feel like it's the purest form of veterinary medicine because it's truly for the animal's benefit, and I appreciate being able to do that.
Leo often describes this place as a hotel for dogs. If so, then consider these 5-star suites.
These are our straw bale dog houses. These are very, very critical to the operation. These are made out of 25 bales of straw and 3 sheets of plywood if you want to do it real fast.
cool in the summer, warm in the winter, and so sturdy that they use these houses in India and Africa as shelter for people.
If you go inside, there's a 4-foot by 6-foot area. The other thing is they're set up so the dogs could run. You'll see them on top of their dog houses. They run up, the bales of straw are turned in such a way that they have steps to go to the top. There are hundreds of houses here. There are hundreds of dog houses.
And what if a dog is single here? They don't stay that way for long.
We marry them. We get 2 dogs who love each other. We find them when the tails wag and they have an attraction. Oh, there's a couple. They're spayed and neutered, but we call it a marriage. That's their house, that's their yard, these are their neighbors, they're in neighborhoods. None of these are haphazardly put together. They're matched.
For most of the dogs, this home is better than the one they used to have, and the reason is simply a matter of money.
People are leaving their pets behind every which way. They can't afford to keep them, they're dumping them. They can't afford to keep their house, they're leaving their pets behind. More and more people are abandoning animals.
Money is an issue at Delta too, since everything is paid for by donations. It takes a staff of 60 to run the facility, and costs are up while donations are down. But for Leo, a promise is a promise.
Fluke was abandoned, about 4 months old, and blind. They abandoned a blind puppy out in the desert. There's no way on earth this guy could survive. That is, to me, the height of cruelty. Boy.
Once Leo questioned whether Delta Rescue, with all its houses and equipment, was really what these dogs wanted. But he got his answer from a dog named Buck.
I rescued Buck about 14 years ago. I remember asking, I said, you know, I had been wondering if I was doing the right thing. I'd been doing it a while, and I said, I wonder if I'm doing the right thing. I wonder if the animals wouldn't be happier running around free, even if they only lived 6 months.
One day, Buck jumped the fence. He could have run for the hills. Instead, he didn't go anywhere.
Buck could have left, but he didn't leave. This was his place. All the animals here are in a refuge. They're in a sanctuary. That's when I renamed it the Delta Rescue Sanctuary and not a shelter. They're in a sanctuary. Look at my boy. He's a lesson. Buck has been a big lesson. You get a lot of criticism when you do wacky things like this. This is kind of wacky. But once he told me that, I said, you know, nobody can take that away. These animals are safe here.
In 30-plus years, thousands of dogs have gotten a second chance, and Delta's mission still hasn't changed, even if its founder has.
It has changed me from what I was. I would have been something different now. The animals, the pain of working with them and loving them and losing them, that changes you. So that's something they've done for me. If you have room in your life, you have room in your heart, you know, take an extra cat or an extra dog. People are having a hard time, but animals are having a worse time. Animals are children too. Love them. Don't abandon them.
Coming up, have you ever seen so many cats behaving perfectly rather than badly? Find out how these once wild or feral cats found a new home and got a new lease on life at the Delta Sanctuary.
We have about a couple hundred cats in here, maybe 250 or so. There's about 600 all over. But nobody's fighting with each other.
Now that's something to meow about. But next, from Flea to Peaches, every one of these majestic horses has a history of abandonment and abuse.
They're actually abandoning horses. They're taking them out and letting them go out of horse trailers in the desert. And the horse likes to run for a few minutes, and then he figures out, you know, what am I going to do?
But here they found refuge. Hear their inspiring stories when Super Sanctuaries continues right after this. Closed captioning provided by You're watching Super Sanctuaries on Pets.tv.
Here are Pets.tv's summer care tips. Never leave your pet in a parked car. The inside can reach over 120 degrees. So leave your window cracked and make sure your dog has access to shade and water to beat the heat. Have a safe summer.
Welcome back to Super Sanctuaries on Pets.tv. All of these horses were given up on, and some were abused. Leo Grillo, the founder of Delta Rescue, set up Horse Rescue of America in 1988 to give them a good home and a place to roam.
And mostly horses end up poorly. Here we keep them to the very, very end. We do everything we can to keep them alive. We have care for life for these horses that we have. I know that my promise to these guys is they're going to spend the rest of their life loved and cared for and safe, and that means with us. Yeah, good girl.
There are all kinds of horses here at the Horse Rescue
The biggest and the smallest, look at that. He's going to let go sooner or later.
with their own personalities.
Boy, he's my boy. Oh, this little baby girl. Oh.
And every horse has their own special story.
Oh, they all have a story, and Leo knows them all verbatim.
This is Max. This is baby Max. This is his mama Ruby. And that's Daddy Caramel. And this was a family that was pretty much abandoned.
It's a common story in a tough economy. A horse owner runs into money problems, so who do you think suffers first?
I'm not going to say that they don't want to be responsible animal owners, but the first thing that goes by the side, the first thing that doesn't get fed are the horses, the dogs, the cats. As time goes by and they can't feed them and they can't feed them, they just walk away from them.
They're actually abandoning horses. They're taking them out and letting them go out of horse trailers in the desert. And the horse likes to run for a few minutes and then he figures out, you know, what am I going to do? So horses have been showing up in strange places. Some are hit by cars even. But they're abandoning them the way they abandon dogs and cats.
But some owners don't even have a need for their horse anymore and won't even bother to find them another home, like what happened to this horse named Peaches.
When she was a pup, she was pulling logs for the Amish. She was a log puller and she got hurt. A log hit her and did something to her leg. So then after that, she wasn't a service anymore, so they got rid of her.
And then there's horses like Flea. After being in the rodeo, Flea wasn't very good at being around people. But maybe it was the people that were the problem.
I knew. I said, hey, we got a bucking horse coming in. He's already struck one guy and he's going up. And they said, stay away from him. But he's eating carrots from my hand. To get them to behave, you have to let them know that you're the leader of the herd who will protect them.
Now this horse is standing in soft sand because it's easier on his injured leg. From little things like that to regular visits from the vet, horses here are cared for from head to hoof.
A lot of these horses have not been, I wouldn't say abused, I don't know if they've been abused, but they've probably been used rather harshly in their lives, maybe pushed more extremely than some other horses might have been. And so when they get to a certain age, they're a little more, they're a little more arthritic. So you have to have a little, you have to allow them to put their foot down for a second and rest.
Of course, not every horse can be healed, but even if they're not as healthy as the others, no one gets abandoned here.
Dogs and cats, they interact. These guys here, they have their own way, and so people don't give them any credit for having feelings, and they're very, very deep.
They have a life here. It's, they're well cared for. We have the ability to give them a life and not just an existence.
Thanks to the donations of horse lovers that make the ranch possible and the dedication of those like Leo and Scott who run it, at Horse Rescue of America, there is a place where a horse can just be a horse.
An animal, to me, an animal is an animal. If it's a mouse or a dog or a cat or a horse, a mountain lion, a coyote, a bird, it doesn't matter. The bigger those eyes are when you look in them, a big horse with those big brown eyes looking at you, how can you not help them? All kinds of people know about when you get around horses, you feel good. There's a reason.
Next, find out how these friendly felines who were once abandoned and abused found their way to this amazing rescue, where they now have a home for life when Super Sanctuaries returns right after this. Closed captioning provided by You're watching Super Sanctuaries on Pets.tv.
Here are Pets.tv's summer care tips. Driving with an unrestrained dog in your vehicle is a danger to you and everyone in your car. Secure your pet with a harness or fasten his carrier with a seatbelt and drive safely. Happy summer!
Welcome back to Super Sanctuaries on Pets.tv. Delta Rescue Sanctuary is a place for, and a place for, but also a place for. Delta Rescue is 90 acres of sprawling campus, and there's deluxe accommodations, meal service, health care, and lots of recreation. And all the residents are four-legged. This used to be gold mining country. Today, why, there's cats in them hills. Hundreds of cats, in fact.
We have about a couple hundred cats in here, maybe 250 or so. There's about 600 all over.
Located north of Los Angeles, just outside of the town of Acton, Delta's founder, Leo Grillo, still gives tribute to its small-town roots.
In the 20s, there was a little cat house across the street from the grade school, and the kids used to go over during lunch with their money. So I named this the best little cat house in Acton.
This is no pet playhouse. People once lived here. Delta Rescue bought it in 1986, and today it's strictly for its feline occupants. A famous inhabitant was not a cat, but a bear. That's right. The artist who drew the cartoon Winnie the Pooh once lived in this house.
Richard Moore, for 25 years, was the artist who drew for the Sunday papers. He drew Winnie the Pooh comic strip. These are the cats who live in Winnie the Pooh's house.
Clearly the kitty takeover is complete. Still, this is no catastrophe, because there's order in this cattery.
These cats are having, this is their home. And a couple of times when they have an escape, he jumped back on the roof and tried to dig back in. They want to come back in here. These cats were all feral cats or feral kittens.
FYI, a feral cat is a cat that is not domesticated, but Delta knows just how to handle them.
I keep them in colonies. This was a colony that I rescued all with, at the same time, and another one would be another colony. They all meet their friends back at the sanctuary. I might catch this one and then 2 months later catch that one, and then they go, hey, remember me? It's their buddies from out there.
A question you might be asking, if these cats were rescued from the wild, then how did they get so friendly?
The really friendly ones here were kittens, and with a lot of handling, they're like this. They're like this. The ones that were adults that couldn't get handled are hiding up in the rafters up there, and we built this. See them hiding up there? They won't come down until the people disappear.
Another question that comes up, even if many of the cats are friendly to humans, then why aren't any of them fighting like, well, cats?
They're spayed and neutered and they're fed, and you've just taken away two of the biggest reasons why cats fight out in the wild: reproduction and food.
Well, maybe they don't fight, but there's still some classic cattiness.
That's a point. When we have a tour and there are a lot of people around, they may bat each other because this one's getting attention and this one's not. But nobody's fighting with each other.
Such is a dog, cat, or horse's life at Delta Animal Sanctuary. When they were abandoned to the wilderness, these animals had to struggle to find their next meal. But here, the biggest struggle is over who gets the fuzzy pillow toy. Closed captioning provided by You're watching SuperSanctuaries on Pets.tv.
Here are Pets.tv's summer care tips. If your dog takes a dip in the ocean or a swim in your pool, rinse him off afterwards. This will help avoid ear or eye infections while keeping pesky insects from burrowing into his fur. Happy summer!
You're watching Super Sanctuaries on Pets.tv. We hope you were inspired by the Super Sanctuaries on today's show. Until next time.
This has been a production of EntertainmentStudios.com.